operate. I mean, I study them day in, day out with passion to know how they operate. And to watch a lot of you out there that aren't as sophisticated, who are just as smart as I am or smarter, but who haven't done the research, they know you're waking up in droves, and they want to turn you against other patriot movements. They want to confuse you, confound you, demonize the real leadership. When you see them demonizing people like Ron Paul, myself, and others, you know it is a CoIntelPro operation. Some of it's jealousy, but that's mainly repeaters, mockingbirds. That's why the CIA called their media operation Mockingbird in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s that got declassified in the Church Committee and others. It's called Mockingbird because they have key people in the media. And back then it wasn't even that many, just a few thousand, who then would put out disinfo, and then there were repeaters who would mockingbird it. And that's how they get the snowball going. It isn't even so much meant to hurt Alex Jones as to hurt you in your intellectual development and to keep you from ever becoming actually informed or effective, kind of falling into the whole issue of no significance soap opera of, is it the Octurians, or is it the Green Aliens, or is it the Jews, or is it the Catholics, or is it, you know, the Merovingians, or is it the Bagaboogians? You know, it just goes on and on and on. And sure, of the real groups I named, every major power structure, they've infiltrated and taken it over. So all the Vatican's calling for world government. A lot of the people in Israel government is calling for world government. Europe's calling for world government. Mexico's calling for world government, because they're all owned by the same big banks. And so they can, again, divide and conquer by making any movement against tyranny issue specific. So they can then divide people off against groups. Look, different religions and races of people, we can all kill each other later. But right now, we're trying to beat the New World Order. That's the big scientific dictatorship that uses human psychology against us. Again, they've written literally thousands of white papers bragging how they do it. In the 1920s, Edward Bernays, the nephew of Sigmund Freud, top Department of War psych warfare expert. I mean, he's the guy that got women smoking cigarettes, bacon and eggs, everything you live under. He wrote 2 books bragging how they do all this to you. That was 80 years ago. On and on and on and on. All I'm asking you to do is to think for yourself, get outside the box, and get some discernment, and then take action yourself. You know you are good. You know, listening, that you're not CoIntelPro. Because that's how CoIntelPro works so well, is that once they cause all the infighting and division and problems, then everyone spends their time on that, and then you can't expand your organizations. Because folks, I learned about CoIntelPro. I'd read about it and heard about it, but like in 96, 97, there'd be some old veteran. They were going to bulldoze his house and take it. So we'd go over there to try to get the bulldozers to stop and help them with the community. Joe Campana and plainclothes cops would walk on and say, Alex, we need to kill some judges in Austin. We need to. And I'd follow them out to their car, and it'd be an unmarked police car. And then I found out the local cops had been hired by the local realtors that wanted to steal that guy's property. And it just, you're like, how do they hire people this evil? And so they don't. Here's another great example of CoIntelPro. When I was in Denver, I said there were occasions that looked like, during the DNC in 2008, year and a half ago, I said there were occasions that it looked like it was police as anarchists attacking other cops. And eyewitnesses said, yeah, we saw white vans, because we couldn't be everywhere. There were protests going on everywhere. White vans pulled up, Marines got out in uniforms, and openly in the doors changed into anarchist outfit. It later came out in the Denver Post. That was all true. It was all run by the Pentagon. They had FBI, they had military. Same thing in Seattle in 99. That came out in all the Seattle papers. It's in my film, Police State 2, The Takeover. And they had police attack other police in Denver. Confirmed. Confirmed. They did it in Ottawa a year and a half ago. Royal Mounted Police got caught attacking their own police, so they could then demonize the peaceful families in suits and ties and with strollers. Look, the globalists see a couple thousand good-looking families out there in front of the news cameras protesting the Security Prosperity Partnership North American Union. And they immediately had cops come up and attack their own cops so they could attack the peaceful crowds and discredit those peaceful demonstrators. That's an example of CoIntelPro. And that's what the White House technologies are. That's what he's calling for, the Information and Regulatory Affairs. He's calling for coming into our offices, into our operations, into our political movements, into our video and bookstore movements that are really hurting them because we're funding ourselves. They don't like us getting a little bit of power. Because for $1 that we get, we can do the equivalent of $1 million of what they do with lies. $1 of truth is better than $1 million of lies. Lies have to be reapplied over and over again. They fall apart. The truth gets stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and builds a dynamic system. So think about the magnitude of what they've been caught. And every time I go to a big city and see provocateurs, I've seen it in Austin. We've seen it at the G20 with my crew up there. Every time I sit there and watch the film or in person when I'm there and I go, I can't believe they got their cops to do it too. I want to like the cops. I want to think you're not criminals. I want to give you the benefit of the doubt, but I know what's going on. Every city has groups of criminal cops, and it's normally special units. That's how they compartmentalize it. So the average cop hearing this goes, we don't do stuff like that. Who go out and do this type of stuff. And it's so wrong. It's so evil. So, ladies and gentlemen, you know you're good. You know you're a leader. Start a website. Start doing YouTube videos. Start calling into talk radio. Start a local organization. You know, a military history enthusiast group, if you want to train militarily, or a land rights group. And I'll assure you, you want to find out about the New World Order. Don't be scared by this, though. Go with 5 of your buddies. Say you're going to meet in 2 weeks at the local library, and there will be 1 or 2 vicious Foundation-hired thugs or FBI informants or FBI or Defense Intelligence there, and you'll just see them. They're soulless. They're slimy. They don't have a spirit of strength or honor. If you've got your discernment on, you'll immediately know who they are as soon as you see them. I mean, I have freaked these people out at events when I've been protesting, and they have a Navy SEAL or something walk behind us, and you can look at their body type, the look on their eye, the predatory stare that they're trying to hide, and I'll go, oh, so you're here from Northcom. I mean, and they'll go, whatever, Jones, and just kind of, you know, get on down. I mean, this has happened to me over and over and over again. And they're always amazed that you immediately know them. But if you sit there, well, what's everybody want to talk about? Well, they're taking this old lady's land and this farm, and there's an environmental land grab going on through the local bank, and it's Agenda 21. I think we need to expose it. We need to go to city council next week. And one guy will stand up and go, I think we ought to bomb them with a neutron bomb. And they'll act all animated, and so the normal people there won't want to be involved. And if there's any fool that even jokes and goes, oh, yeah, you're going to prison. But what you do is you have a recorder at that first meeting. You go, oh, tell me more. And then you follow them out to their car. You photograph their car. And you say, I'm calling the police right now. Because if you just call the police without recording them, they'll say you called for the violence. And the cops will show up and look embarrassed, and the guy will kind of do a hand sign or whatever, and the cop will be like, what's going on here? And you're going to be dealing with a hardcore terrorist. These are government terrorists, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, you can't help an old man in Austin without him showing up, okay? Folks, CoIntelPro Declassified admitted that they infiltrate mainline pro-war, pro-government churches if the church is actually having real soup kitchens. They don't want anything that's community but government. They don't want strong communities. You actually try to help people with a real charity, they will shut you down in 10 seconds. But you steal every single dime of it and give political contributions, they'll show up at your door and say, we want to work with you robbing people. I mean, it's just... Don't you understand? Millions of criminals have worked out all these fancy scams. They're now in control of almost everything, and they know there's a mass awakening to them right now. So Homeland Security comes out in congressional testimony and says, We're just going to ban free speech in America and put taxes on alternative newspapers and infiltrate their groups and commit all these crimes. They're just out in the open because they have to come out in the open like it's normal to get their own spooks and their own informants and their own operatives to do it. So again, what does the CoIntelPro documents say? According to FBI records, CoIntelPro resources were expended on infiltrating, disrupting, marginalizing, and or subverting groups suspected of being subversive. I can't tell you how many times I've just gone to any political event and somebody calls you in the back room and says, hey, we're going to that protest tomorrow. You might feel like you're under threat. I got a little submachine gun you can just have. Just take it. Just take it. And if I was dumb enough to, oh, thanks for the submachine gun. Oh, yeah. It'd be on the news. Alex Jones was planning to kill with submachine gun. But they go further than that.